everyone. Hello, this is Miguel from Strategy Rewind Podcast. Of course, some of you may be listening on the Strategy Rewind Podcast, and some of you may be connected through the Wisdom application. Wisdom is an application that allows you to connect with individuals, ask questions, and actually be able to curate these questions. You'll be able to save them, hit like, and this way you create a file of knowledge and, of course, wisdom. So if you're not on the Wisdom app, I want to encourage those who are listening through the Strategy Rewind podcast to head over to Wisdom, download the application, because this way you can be part of the conversation. For those who are connected here on the Wisdom app, feel free to jump in, be part of the conversation. That's the objective here, that we would have a conversation. Today, we're looking at the question of how are you with your 2023 goals? When we talk about goals, we simply start the new year with so much optimism. We start the new year with so much force, looking at things in a way with great optimism. And we think we're going to do this, we're going to get to it, we're going to look back, and we're going to say we did that. And of course, everyone uses the hashtag New Year, New Me, and everyone observes the new year that's on the horizon with that outlook, which is an awesome outlook, by the way. The thing is that we think often that just because we say it, it's going to happen. And I think there is an issue happening where we think that simply because we say something, that the quote unquote universe will bend to what we say. And that's not entirely true. I do not hold to that philosophy, and I'll tell you why. I believe that faith without works is dead, meaning you can speak all you want to the mountains. You can speak to the fishes, the universe, to whatever you want to speak to. If you don't put hands to work, nothing is happening. If every time the alarm goes off, when we talk about being able to see a change, and when we talk about being able to actually see the results, there has to be a moment where it's not just talk, it's actually putting in action. When I was a kid, they would say this phrase, don't talk about it, be about it, right? They would say, if you're going to talk the talk, you better walk the walk, right? And so the whole idea was, yeah, say what you're going to say, but you got to be able to back it up. And this idea that, well, if you just say it, the universe will bend, that's not how that works. Faith without works is dead. You have to put into action, and you have to put a plan in place, right? Because what individual would say, I want to accomplish X, Y, Z, but not measure the cost? What individual would say, I want to build a tower, but not measure the cost, or not measure the labor or the time or the resources? What individual would do that? You would say, well, that doesn't make any sense. That's pretty silly to make a plan to build a tower and not actually take into consideration how long it'll take to make the foundation, how many people you need to make the foundation, what type of tools and resources you need to make that. Like, you have to take into consideration all of these details. And so what happens is that at the end of one year, on the cusp of a new one, everyone says, new year, new me. That's great. Everyone has great optimism. That's great. Everyone has a positive outlook on what will happen. That's great. But then what happens is that somewhere along January, February, people die down. In fact, I believe what happens is that we establish these radical goals, and we actually don't transform our habits. So really, the issue lies in, if you want to accomplish something, the question becomes, do you have the habits built in that will allow you to accomplish that? Right? You can want to be a better reader, but if you don't read, well, how are you going to become a better reader? Right? You have to read, and then you also have to determine how long are you going to read for, and then you also have to determine what type of material will you engage with. So when we talk about actually being able to accomplish our goals, and we talk about having a breakthrough moment, there has to be this way of thinking that we say, okay, my habits, the ones I have right now, may not align with what I want to accomplish. So let me start with my daily habits, Monday through Monday, right? What do I do Sunday through Saturday? However you want to lay out the week, it don't matter. The 7 days a week, right? We all have the same amount of days and hours in the week. And you say, okay, what are the things that I'm doing in those calendar days? Am I doing the things that are going to position me to be able to accomplish my goal? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Because here's the thing, it's easy for us to establish a goal, and it's easy for us to think the quote unquote universe will bend to us and that every mountain will move if I have faith and I speak to it. But faith without works is dead. Now, the question that I'm asking here today is, how are you doing with your 2023 goals? How are you doing with the goals you've established here today? And I definitely want to encourage those who are connecting here on the Wisdom app and are coming into the group. Hey, feel free to hit that button, become a guest. Let's have this conversation. I want to share with you my journey of the goals that I've established for 2023 and how I'm doing with those goals and what I've done with reference to habits. Right, what I've done with reference to habits, so that hopefully by the end of this conversation, you can have a better, clear view on how you can set up practical goals for yourself. And so here's the goal that I had for this year of 2023. Before I mention what that goal is, let me just say that I believe that we need to be able to set a big goal that covers 12 months. And then we need to create smaller goals or checkpoints, because as we accomplish those small checkpoints, it builds momentum to that big goal. Now, ideally, you would want them to be tied some way or another, because then you're building momentum to this big thing, right? Does that make sense? So if you're saying, for example, I want to write a book, well, that's a good goal. How are you going to do that? Well, if that's the big picture, right, that's the big goal, one thing you could say is, okay, I'm going to start a blog. I'm going to start a daily blog so that this way I can track my writing style. I can track my writing patterns, maybe even go to a network event where I get engaged with other writers, join a Facebook group, download something like Grammarly that actually tells you your writing style, your writing level, and gives you all this phenomenal insight. And so you're putting into action, right? Every day you are writing, every day you are consuming information about how to write better. Every day you're consuming that type of information. And maybe 3-4 months down the line, you say, okay, I've been consistent with doing a daily blog. Can I jump it to 2 days? Well, yeah, maybe I could do 2 days a week. Okay, not, awesome. 2 days a week. Now I'm going to even more, because here's the thing, as you continue further, you discover more about yourself. And now you've already built the habit of writing a blog once a day or once a week rather. Now you say, okay, I'm going to do 2 times in a week. Okay, great. So you build up from there. Ideally, the writing material that you're doing as a blog, you're also going to be converting into the book. You see how that daily habit now built into that big goal? I think that would be the appropriate way to set up goals, as opposed to just trying to have this radical transformation. So let me give you a more practical sense. Hopefully this makes better sense as I share with you what I've been doing. My big goal for 2023 is that I want to be able to just be healthier. I want to be healthier. And full transparency, I want to share with you my weight, and I'm going to share with you where I'm at right now as we head into the end of January, and February is hours away, right? So I started off this year of 2023 at 220 pounds. That's not where I want to be, but that's how I started off. And that's just that's me. That's me being honest with you. And so I started at 220 pounds, and I definitely want to get out of the 220s. So what I did was, okay, I want to join the gym. I want to do that, and I want to work out, and I want to eat healthier, and I want to do all those things. But I also understood that I had a few issues that I had to resolve. Number one, I'm really bad with water intake, because there's so many other things that I'm doing that oftentimes the priority of drinking water just isn't on the top of the list. right? So I produce a podcast. I'm a community organizer. I'm a mentor. I'm a teacher. I'm a father. I'm a husband. There's a lot of other things that I do. So drinking water sometimes just did not come on my radar. So I wanted to build out this habit of drinking water. So here's what I did. I put alarms on my phone so that my phone would remind me to drink water. And so I have an alarm that is at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 p.m., 2 p.m., 4 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. And that's for me to drink water, right? And again, this is creating the habit because I was just bad at it. I was just not doing good at it. And so I set up these alarms and I set them up based upon this water bottle that I bought. But the water bottle is fairly big. So to condition myself of just getting used to the alarms, what I've been doing for the last several weeks, I'll be more specific, I've been doing it since January 1st all the way until the 29th of January. So for the last 29 days, what I've been doing is every time the alarm goes off, I drink a water bottle. A water bottle, not from the bottle that I have, not from this big container, but just a water bottle. Now, water bottle is about what, 16 ounces? Yeah, 16 ounces, 16.9, depending on the size. So I was actually drinking more than enough water, but I knew that I wanted to condition myself to just drinking water. And so now this week, I've begun using the actual bottle itself that I bought that has those hours, and those alarms were synchronized with what is displayed on the water bottle. I hope that makes sense. Otherwise, I'll share an image if you'd like. Just send me a message if you want me to show you an image of what the bottle that I bought looks like. Because this has allowed me that today, as I've gone through just drinking from this bottle that has these hours and it has these phrases that says keep going, you're almost there, but it's also allowed it to be that I'm not dependent on those motivational quotes because, well, I've already been conditioning myself to drinking water. I've already been conditioning myself. And you say, Miguel, I thought that your goal was to be healthier. Well, yes, that's the big goal, but I have to create these checkpoints, and these checkpoints have to address my daily habit. So the first thing I wanted to tackle was the drinking water, and we've been able to do that, right? The second thing I wanted to tackle in January was to be able to sleep better. My mother was a night owl. My dad was a night owl. We're all night owls. Okay, so I had to reform this habit. And so what I've been doing is that I've been going to bed at 11 p.m. Eastern time, and I wake up at 6:30 a.m. Eastern time, and that just works for me. For whatever works for you, you have to determine that. But I'm sharing with you transparently what's worked for me, and so I've been able to track my sleeping. I've been able to actually get better with that. And at this point, I've already conditioned myself to sleep a specific schedule and to drink a specific amount of water with the help of those alarms. And so I started the month of January 220 pounds, and there's been times when in my eating I've also put in some eating more salads. Okay, I'm eating more fruits, eating more salads, and I've also jumped on the elliptical here and there, but nothing consistent because that's not part of the things that I'm trying to build out for January. Here's one of the things that I realize is that when you change your habits, other areas of your life change also. So even though I'm doing this to be a healthier person, I've also noticed that other areas of my life have changed. And even though I'm happy about that, I can't rejoice on that because that's not really my focus. Like, I'm happy that these other parts are also being impacted, but my focus is on one thing. Does that make sense? Let me know on here on the Wisdom app if what I'm saying makes sense. Jump on the conversation. Let me know here on the Wisdom app. Smash that button, become a guest. So I started the month of January at 220 pounds. The two things that I addressed in the month of January was my sleeping pattern and my water intake. And I'm happy to report that in the month of January, by just addressing those two things, I've already lost 5 pounds. And so that to me is massive. That to me is massive, that just those two things. Now, the month of February is approaching, and this is where I'm going to implement going to the gym. I'd already gotten a membership to the gym a couple weeks ago, actually, and now I'm going to be going to the gym. I'm going to implement going to the gym 4 days a week. It's something that I've been talking with my wife about, and we're going to be going to the gym, and it's 4 days a week that doesn't conflict with anything else, right? So not only am I communicating with her what my goals are, but my reasoning behind this, and this gym that I'm going to is less than 10 minutes away from my house. So there's absolutely no reason for me not to go, right? It's close enough to my house where I can go and drive in the winter, and who knows, maybe hopefully in the summer I could ride the bike over there or walk over there, whatever the case may be. But for right now, the focus is to continue the water intake the way I've been doing, to continue sleeping with the sleeping pattern that I've been doing, and to implement going to the gym. And again, I'm happy, and I want to share this with you, that I've been able to see already some changes, and I just want to present to you the fact that oftentimes we have these goals, that the reason we don't accomplish them and the reason we don't actually succeed is not because we can't. It's just because we haven't built out the daily habits to do it. And so if you're looking to have a radical change in the year, I think you can do it, but I think you have to set practical goals. Meaning, okay, I'm using myself as an example here, where I'm saying, okay, I want to be healthier, but let me address these things that are daily things that I was doing so badly. And so when I asked the question to you, how are you with your 2023 goals? Really, the question I suppose should be changed, but I'm the one who wrote it, so who am I going to criticize, myself? Really, the question should be, how are you with your daily habits? How are you with your daily habits? Because your daily habits and your daily routines are going to give light to where you're headed. And either you're headed in a direction that you want to go to, or you won't. I previously said that I was seeing some results that weren't necessarily what I was aiming for, but they came up, they just happened. And what I realized was that because I was waking up earlier than anyone else, and my wife wakes up a little after I do, what happened was that every morning I've been making breakfast for my wife. So every morning we have breakfast together. Was that the goal? No, it wasn't the goal. But that's a good result. Okay, that's a very good result, that I've had the chance to have breakfast consistently every day with my wife for this month of January, which is something that, to be honest, we weren't often doing. That is, having breakfast together. And when we were, it was usually in the weekend. Now, was that the end goal? It wasn't, but it's an awesome byproduct. Another thing is, because I wake up so early, I have more time to actually read and invest in reading. And you know what? I find it joyful reading. Well, because I have the energy to do it. I don't find myself being sluggish or without the energy to want to do it. I enjoy doing it. I want to do it. I actually have a daily reading group, and we all read together. And so I enjoy, those are things that I enjoy doing. And those are things that, by the way, I wanted to do before. I just had not implemented the daily habits to be able to do them. So think about how many things you've wanted to do for so long. And also think about the person that it requires for you to become in order to accomplish those things. The current habits that you have may not align with the goals you've set. So you have to reevaluate your habits. What am I doing on a daily basis that is maybe stopping me from seeing the things I want to see? What am I listening to? What am I watching? What am I eating? What am I doing? What am I not doing that is causing me to not be the person I want to be? That is causing me to not live the life I want to live? That's holding me back. So we asked the question of, how are you doing with your 2023 goals? The question actually is deeper, because it's a question about your habits, not the end point. It's very interesting, because when we talk about the word success, often individuals think that success has to do with the end result. But if you look up the etymology of the word success, it has more to do with the preparation. How are you preparing for your breakthrough moment? How are you preparing? How are you preparing for your breakthrough moment? Recently, a friend of ours, of my wife and I, my wife was texting this person and I was texting them, and for some reason, they weren't responding back. And we were getting very concerned. The fact that I was texting them, my wife was texting them, and they weren't responding back. We were concerned, okay, because that wasn't like them. We tried calling and the call went straight to voicemail or it just wouldn't continue. We were concerned. Finally, this past weekend, we were able to see them. And you know what it turned out to be? It turned out to be that they had changed their device. And because of this, they also changed phone numbers. But they never told us. And so all the while, we were trying to communicate with them, but they didn't realize it, that we were trying to communicate with them. And so I want you to know that you may be closer to your breakthrough moment. And I want you to know that you may be even much more closer than what you imagine. But how is it that opportunity is going to knock if you keep changing the address? How is it that opportunity is going to call if you keep changing your phone number? You don't, opportunity don't know you changing your phone number. You changing your address. You refuse to live in Success Street and you are choosing to live in Depression Drive or Bitterness Boulevard. Why? Why do you keep changing addresses? There are individuals that can get out of their situation and choose to stay there. I hope you're not one of those people that choose to stay in Bitterness Boulevard, that choose to stay in Anxiety Avenue. Why are you choosing to live there? Why don't you move to Success Street? Why don't you move to Prosperity Place? Why don't you move to another location? And of course, I'm saying move with reference to your mindset, with reference to your attitude, with reference to your daily habits, so that you can accomplish not just your 2023 goals, but your 2024, 2025, 2035. That the version of you that is in the year 2043, that when you look back, that you can say, you know what, that was a good decade. We did work on that decade. We accomplished a lot on that decade. One of the goals that I've set for myself for the month of February, I've been feeling this desire of want to go live more and communicate directly and have conversations, and I've been thinking about, okay, what is a way for me to do it? And for a moment there I was thinking about maybe doing Facebook Live or going YouTube Live, and then, you know, as I thought to myself, I said, you know what, I'm going to go on the application that I believe removes filters, removes the fluff, removes the all these other things that just have nothing to do with what really matters. I'm going to go to the Wisdom application. And my goal for the month of February is to be able to go live every day for 30 minutes on the Wisdom application. And my desire is to be able to have a conversation with you all who are connecting here on the Wisdom app. This episode, this recording, this conversation will also become part of the Strategy Rewind podcast. And my hope is to provide value, is to provide insight, is to provide strategy, is that there would be an attitude change, a mindset shift, and that we would all be able to accomplish a breakthrough moment. And so that's my desire and my goal for this month of February. And I'm excited heading into this month because everything that I've been doing in the month of January is showing result. But it's been showing result because not because I spoke to the mountains or the universe. It's because, well, I put in the work. I've put in the work, and I believe you can put in the work as well. One of the things that you can do if you're maybe stuck with your goals, one of the things that you can do is you can reevaluate your core values. One of the things we fail to realize is that our core values can change. And they can change because of circumstances that happens in life, because of decisions that we make, or because of other outside forces that were maybe out of our control. And so when you consider that your core values can change, it's important to always sit down, take a moment, reevaluate your core values. And if they no longer align with who you are, then you can go ahead and set appropriate goals for who you are today and where you'd like to go tomorrow. and maybe you're unsure on where to start with this search, I would encourage you to go to MiguelLebron.com. When you go to my website, MiguelLebron.com, there you can click on the core values tab, and there's a list of 50 things, 50 core values that you can select from. I suggest starting with 3 or 4. Think of it as a compass, right? A compass has 4 directions: north, east, south, and west. And so, likewise, your values have to be a compass. Also, if everything on the list is a value, then nothing is a value, right? If everything is important, then nothing is important. Some things have to be more important than others. Some things have to be core values where you say, okay, it is more important to have fill in the blank than to have fill in the blank, right? It's more important to have honesty than to just have relationships that are not honest, right? And so you filter out what your values are. And once you've determined what your values are, then you can begin to look at your daily habits. And you say, okay, here are my values. I value honesty, but man, I'm always lying. It's like, okay, well, is it really a value, or is it something that you value when it's convenient for you? I value being able to communicate. Yeah, but you're always quiet. You don't tell nobody your situation, or you isolate yourself. It's like, is it really a value? And so you have to then begin to put these things into perspective, because your values actually will determine your habits, right? Whatever you find of high value is going to influence your habits, but your habits also influence your routines. And of course, that has major, major implications on where you're going, who you will become, and ultimately on the results you'll have on your goals. So if you've set a goal for this year and you say to yourself, man, I haven't even gotten started. Maybe you set a goal and you say, I'm not even close to getting started. And you haven't gotten started. And maybe you're justifying and say, yeah, it's just, Christmas. And before that, it was Thanksgiving. And, it kind of snuck up on me. And I also got an anniversary and a birthday coming up. And it's just a lot happening. Let me let you know that life isn't going to stop. Life isn't going to stop for you to reset. You have to make the decision that no matter what's going on, I'm going to reinvent and I'm going to grow. You just have to commit yourself. And you commit yourself today, and you commit yourself tomorrow, and you commit yourself the next day, and you commit yourself the next day. You recommit every single day to what it is that you want to accomplish. This is why your values are massively important. But if you're looking at yourself and you're feeling like, I don't know where to go to next, I don't know what to do, I haven't even gotten started, February's around the corner, I don't even know what's going to happen. Listen, don't delay. When you go to my website, MiguelLebron.com, there, click on coaching. Let's set up a free 30-minute strategy session, because I really want you to have a breakthrough moment. I really want you to finish this year thinking and knowing, I did that. I crushed it. I accomplished what I set out to accomplish. And so I want to say thank you all for being connected, those who are connected on the Wisdom application. And for those who are listening on the Strategy Rewind podcast, thank you. Be sure to download the Wisdom app, because there you can join in on conversations like these that we're having all through the month of February. Of course, if you're on the Wisdom app and you haven't checked out my podcast, please consider checking out Strategy Rewind. It's a podcast that focuses on the mindset and strategies needed for a breakthrough moment, which is what we've been talking about here today. You need to reevaluate your values. You need to reevaluate your habits, because those actually shed light as to the life you're living. So, what is the result that you're seeing? How are you with your 2023 goals? How are you? And if you're not doing well with those goals, good. I know that sounds bad, right? To say, hey, if you're not doing well, good. No, I don't rejoice that you're not doing well. But if you recognize that you're not doing well with your goals, that's good, because at least you know where you are. And in order for you to implement a strategy, you first have to know where you are. Then And only then, having been honest with yourself on where you are, can you begin to say, okay, I am 50 steps away from accomplishing my breakthrough moment. I am 75 steps away, or I'm just 10 steps away, and I didn't even know I was that close because I keep changing my address from Success Street to Bitterness Boulevard to Anxiety Avenue. Ladies and gentlemen, may your mindset and your actions be aligned with the person you want to be. Surround yourself with people that will nourish your vision, and I thank you for being connected here. If you found this helpful, insightful, tell a friend to tell a friend. Of course, connect on the Wisdom app. Send me a message. Let's connect. Do not feel as though you have no one helping you. This is one of the reasons why I've set forth this goal of going live every day for 30 minutes on the Wisdom app, is because we need more community. We need more conversation. We need to pull back the curtain, so to speak, and be able to say, hey, you know what? We're all struggling. We all have different challenges. But despite that, there are some strategies that we can all implement to have a breakthrough moment. Just know that I'm rooting for you. Have a great day.